Brahma Gurur Vishnur Gurur Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Yasyai Shvasita Kalamatha Valambya Jivanti Loma Vilaja Jagadandanatha Vishnur Mahan Sa Ihayasya Kala Vishesho Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Yashodaya Samakapi Devata Nasti Bhutale Ulukhale Yaya Baddho Muktido Mukti Michhati Yo Brahmanam Vidadhati Purvam Yo Vai Vedascha Prahinoti Tasmai Tagmamha Devamatma Buddhi Prakasham Mumukchurvai Sharanamaham Prapadye. Dear devotees, Radhe Radhe, the last few days we've been discussing the special relationship between Shri Krishna and his Bhakt saints, while also considering the relationship of ordinary souls and sadhaks with Shri Krishna. I explained to you that we are currently in the category of sadhak. We are ordinary souls who are trying to become bhakt. And bhakt means someone who's attained Shri Krishna. Thus, their mind is 100% attached to him all the time. Our goal is to become a bhakt, and in order to attain that goal, we have to practice sadhana, bhakti, therefore we are called a sadhak. Among various aspects of a soul's relationship with Shri Krishna, one of the most important ones was that we have Sakhya Sambandh with Shri Krishna. He has a personal interest in our spiritual progress. He cares that we get the opportunity to follow the path of bhakti and attain him. It matters to him. When Jagadguru Shri Kripaluji Maharaj was explaining about this relationship, he used the word anurag, anurakti, that Bhagwan has anurag for us, Bhagwan has anurakti for us. I enumerated so many of the things that Bhagwan does, even for ordinary souls who may not even believe in him or care to listen about him. All souls receive his general grace, and we went over that extensive list of all the ways that Shri Krishna cares for a soul. from giving life to the soul, to doing srishti, to providing nourishment, making that available on the earth for us, keeping track of our karma, arranging spiritual opportunities for us. He does this because he cares. It matters to him. So he is attached to us the way a parent is attached to their child. That anurag is there. This is not just a job he's performing. It's not just a duty he's fulfilling. He is actually attached to us. So we've had this eternal relationship with Shri Krishna. He's been watching over us and helping us all the time in all of our births. When we receive a human birth, we have the opportunity to do something about to show our gratitude for all the effort that he's making, and we can take advantage of the opportunity that he has presented us by giving us a human birth. As I mentioned, he is ashavadi. He is ever optimistic. He is ever hopeful that these souls will follow the path to God. He never becomes pessimistic or bitter like us if we face disappointment after disappointment. No, he's always hopeful. He's ever optimistic that this time this soul is going to follow the path to God and is going to attain me. And uncountable souls have succeeded in doing so. We can also do that. When we do that, ultimately we'll receive Shri Krishna's full protection. When a soul is 100% surrendered to Shri Krishna, then he takes their full responsibility, 100%, for all of the matters that concern them, whether it's making sure his bhakt has enough to eat, or any other physical need. And of course, Shri Krishna is residing in the heart of all of his divine saints, blessing them with the experience of unlimited bliss and love all the time. Even for us as sadhaks, we receive Shri Krishna's protection to the extent that we're surrendered to the Guru. However much we're surrendered, that much Shri Krishna, through the Guru, protects us. And I explained that that protection has to do with protecting us from our own pride, protecting us from falling from the path if we become careless in devotion. It is not concerned with protecting our material attainments or any type of thing that we've accumulated in this world. It's not about protecting that. It's about protecting what we've gained in our path of devotion and ensuring our further progress. He is dedicated to that mission, and he uses the Guru to accomplish it. So I gave some examples of how Bhagwan protects or arranges scenarios to keep his devotees from falling in the trap of pride, to keep his devotees humble. Another example of a divine personality that Shri Krishna had to help with this is Naradji. You would have heard Maharajji refer to Naradji getting a monkey face, right? He usually just mentions it in passing that, remember one time Naradji got that monkey face, so he's a little wary of getting too involved. You know, if Krishna seems to be up to something, he says, let me just carefully see what's going on here. I don't want to fall in that trap again. Naradji had been doing devotion, and Kamdev came with all of his celestial maidens and the spring season and everything, trying to attract Naradji's mind towards maīyā enjoyments. Naradji was unaffected because he's a divine personality. So he went to Shankarji soon after, and he just happened to mention that. You know, sometimes when we do something great, we just try to casually mention it to somebody so that they can understand what a great thing we've accomplished. There's no point to telling them. They're not going to gain anything from knowing it, but we want them to know. So he casually mentioned it to Shankarji. Shankarji said, yeah, that's all fine, Naraji, but just do one thing. Make sure you never mention that in front of Shri Krishna, okay? Naraji went straight to Shri Krishna and couldn't help himself. He had to tell him, oh yes, Kamdev came and it had no effect on me. I was just absorbed in my Rup Dhyan. And Shri Krishna just, okay, he didn't show outwardly any reaction, but he knew, oh, this affliction of pride has entered my devotee's heart. So he didn't say anything. Oh yes, Naraji, that's fine, that's good. And Naraji went on his way. Naraji can go anywhere he wants in all the three worlds. So as Naraji was going, see the scenario, see to what extent Shri Krishna is willing to go to protect his devotee from something like pride. He used his Yogamaya Shakti to create an entire city that would just appeared along the way when Naraji was going. It wasn't there before. So Naraji saw, oh, this is interesting, let me check this out. And in the city, there was a princess having her Swayamvar. She was choosing who was going to be her husband. So all the princes have come. And they're all sitting there in the crowd hoping that she's going to choose them. Naraji saw, she's so beautiful. Of course, she was created by Shri Krishna's Yogamaya Shakti. Of course, she would have the power to attract Naraji, even though Kamdev couldn't do it. So Naraji also had a desire, I want her to choose me. So he went back to Shri Krishna and said, I'm your bhakt, right? Oh yes, Naraji, you're my bhakt. So you grant boons to your bhakt? Yes, yes. So I want a face like Hari. Hari meaning Krishna. I want to be as beautiful as you. But in Sanskrit, the word Hari also means bandar, monkey. So Shri Krishna said, okay, sure, no problem. And without Naraji knowing it, he made Naraji's face the face of a monkey. And Naraji, now with more pride than ever, went back to that Swayamvar and sat in the crowd amongst the princes, thinking, now she's going to choose me. These men don't have a chance with me here. And while Naraji's sitting in the crowd, he's starting to hear some sarcastic comments from some of the people sitting around, like, see this guy over here? What is he? He thinks he's, and are they talking about me? And then he's getting more and more doubtful. And when the princess was, looking around, she didn't even give him a second glance. So Naraji's thinking, something's going on here. She should have chosen me. He goes and looks in the mirror and sees that he has the face of a monkey and that everybody's laughing at me. So anyway, Naraji learned his lesson. He understood that Shri Krishna arranged this whole scenario to make him recognize, oh yes, I got prideful about being able to conquer Kamdev. Although Naraji is a divine personality, so there's no question of him having material pride the way we do, nonetheless, through this Leela, Naraji demonstrated that pride, so we can understand this type of thing happens to us, and this is an enemy on our path of devotion. And Shri Krishna and Guruji are always on the lookout for that type of thing. They know that if this soul can just remain humble and keep following my instructions, there's nothing to get in his way of attaining God. But we have to be careful to keep this pride away, keep him humble. So very gently, Guruji may scold, Guruji may arrange a situation where we're embarrassed somewhat. seems like a big deal to us. Nobody else cares, right? When we get embarrassed, nobody else remembers. We remember, oh, that thing happened. It was so humiliating. Remember that? Someone else says, what are you talking about? Nobody even noticed, but we notice. So Guruji very carefully, without, he can't disturb our mind to the extent that, oh, I was so humiliated, I can never come back in satsang. He's not going to go to that extent, right? So he has to find the sweet spot. And this soul is so prideful right now. I at least have to make him recognize a little bit, like look in the mirror a little bit and recognize that he needs to be more humble. So he has to find that middle ground where it's not too much, but it's enough that it jolts us a little bit out of our complacency and pridefulness. So this type of activity Guruji is doing behind the scenes constantly for all the devotees, all the sadhaks. Shri Krishna is managing this whole thing through the Guru. So what a special grace that is, to have that kind of care. And on top of that, Guruji is always watching what sanskar is going to come at what time into this devotee's mind. Sri Maharaji has explained in detail how sanskars work also. That we have one sthul sharir, our physical body, which is temporarily ours. We leave it and get a new one in every life. Then we have sukshma sharir. That has several aspects to it, but mainly you can say it's your mind. And then you have karana sharir. Karana sharir is where all your karma is stored. All your sanskars are stored. So Maharaji describes it so, you can visualize it so well. He says your sukshma sharir, in other words your mind, when you have a thought, that creates a sanskar. So from the sukshma sharir, that goes into your karana sharir and it's stored there. Now it's become a sanskar that's stored in your karana sharir. Then in the future, in your next life, those sanskars stored in your karana sharir, they come back out of your karana sharir into your sukshma sharir. In other words, back into your mind, and they affect you. They affect your mood, your inclination towards devotion or towards the world. All of these changes we feel where our mind is swinging this way and that is because of those sanskars. So we create the sanskar, it goes into our karana sharir, and at a pre-scheduled time, it's actually a scheduled part of our destiny. That sanskar is going to impact our mind at this time with this intensity for this duration. And it's of this quality. It's going to incline you towards devotion, or it's going to incline you towards desiring this thing or that thing of the world. Or it's going to agitate your mind. Why am I feeling angry today? Well, it's an angry sanskar. It came out of nowhere. I have no reason to be angry, but I'm just angry. Yeah, angry sanskar came today. So you have to recognize it and overcome it, right? We use our devotional tools to overcome the effect of those bad sanskars. But Guru knows the whole schedule for everybody. What sanskar is coming at what time. So imagine he's doing all these calculations in his mind. How to talk to what devotee to look at, what devotee to ignore, what devotee to give what seva, at what time, what devotee to scold. All of this is calculated perfectly according to our schedule of sanskars. And we're sitting here thinking, why did Guruji do that? So imagine how ignorant we sound, because Guruji knows our thoughts also. Shri Krishna and Guruji are doing all this for us, and we're sitting here thinking, why didn't Guruji look at me? Because according to your sanskar, that was the best thing for you in that moment. So you see the protection that a devotee has, a sadhak has. This is why Sri Krishna can make that proclamation, my devotee can never fall from the path. Willingly leaving the path is another matter. Even then, that person created devotional sanskars that will help them come back to the path in a future life. So it's still possible for someone to choose to stop following the path. But if someone wants to follow the path, no matter how careless they become, no matter what bad sanskars they're under the influence of, they can never fall off the path, because Guru and God are protecting them to that extent. And after God realization, Bhagwan takes over completely. I explained to you that we are Ansh of Jeev Shakti, and Jeev Shakti never can become Swarup Shakti. See, right now we're Ansh of Jeev Shakti and we're Maya Shakti Yukt. After God realization, the effect of Maya is finished and we become Swarup Shakti Yukt. So then the soul is governed by Swarup Shakti. Shri Krishna's Swarup Shakti governs the actions of that soul. So then Maharaji says it's like you were driving and you weren't driving properly. You're the driver, but the owner of the car is sitting in the back and he said, "Kuch pike chala rahe ho aaj? Roko, roko. Main chalata." So that's what Bhagwan does. When we surrender, you take over, you drive, I'll relax in the back seat. So Bhagwan takes over and he directs and governs all the actions of the saint. Maharaji says, it's the saint's body after God realization. The saint still looks the same as he looked before, but under, it's Shri Krishna doing everything. We see the form of the saint, but it's not the saint deciding or doing or anything. The saint is, unko chutti miliya. He's sitting in the back seat enjoying, he's absorbed in Krishna's bliss and love. Krishna is doing all of his physical actions for him after that. I also described the special case that certain saints get such a status that Shri Krishna becomes subservient to them. We just touched on this topic yesterday, and I told you I was going to explain a little bit about how this happens. And you've heard this explanation, most of you would have heard it from Shri Maharaji or other preachers, but let's go over it briefly tonight. I mentioned Swarup Shakti. That Swarup Shakti is Shri Krishna's internal power. Shri Krishnera Ananta Shakti Tate Tin Pradhan Chit Shakti, Jeev Shakti, Maya Shakti. Swarupa Shakti Antaranga Savar Upare. So, Shri Krishna's three main powers are Chit Shakti, also called Swarup Shakti, Jeev Shakti, and Maya Shakti. Chit Shakti Antaranga, Maya Shakti Bahiranga, Jeev Shakti Tatastha Kahi Jare. So the Swarup Shakti is Krishna's internal power. Maya Shakti is his external power. You already understood why. On the first day we talked about how Maya is Jara. It's not the same as God and souls. God and souls are Chaitanya. So Maya is Jara, it's external. Swarup Shakti is Krishna's personal power. And souls are not Jara. So they're not a part of Maya, but they're not a part of Swarup Shakti either. Otherwise, they would be all-knowing, all-powerful, omnipresent. They would be God themselves. Now let us focus on Swarup Shakti. Satchit Anandamaya Krishnera Swarup Ataiva Swarup Shakti Hoy Tinarup. Because Shri Krishna is Satchit Anand, therefore his Swarup Shakti has three aspects. Anandanshe Hladini, Sadanshe Sandhini, Chidanshe Samvit Jare Jnana Karimani. Satchit Anand, the Sat aspect of Swarup Shakti. Now just Krishna's Swarup Shakti, because he's Satchit Anand, so Swarup Shakti appears in three forms. The Anand aspect is called Hladini Shakti, the blissful power of Shri Krishna. Through that power, he is ever blissful and he gives bliss to his devotees. The Chit aspect is Samvit Shakti. Through that, Shri Krishna is all-knowing and he gives that knowledge to his devotees or his saints. And the Sat aspect is Sandhini. Sandhini Shakti is the power that reveals God's form, abodes, qualities, makes God all-powerful, omnipresent. All of that comes from Sandhini Shakti. So the essence of Swarup Shakti is actually that Ahladini Shakti, because Anand contains Sat and Chit, therefore Ahladini contains Samvit and Sandhini Shakti. So now you've understood, out of infinite powers of Shri Krishna, he is Shaktiman and he has infinite Shakti that reside within him. Out of all those, three are main: Swarup Shakti, Jeev Shakti, Maya Shakti. Swarup Shakti again branches into three because of his Satchit Anand nature. But out of those three, Hladini is supreme. So the essence of Swarup Shakti is Hladini Shakti. Hladini Sar Anchatar Premana. Hladini Shakti also has an essence. So what is the essence of the essence? It is the quintessence. What is the quintessence of Swarup Shakti? It is Prema Shakti. Hladini Shakter Paramasar Taro Premana. Prema Shakti, the power of divine love, is the essence of bliss. That Prema Shakti is the power that can make Krishna forget he's God. See, all the other powers, Krishna remains in his consciousness that I am God. If he is doing some almighty act, if he's revealing his all-knowingness, he's aware, I'm God, and I'm doing this, I'm doing that. When he's in the form of Mahavishnu, he's aware he's God. That's because the Prema Shakti is not revealed in that form. When he's revealing his divine glory and dignity, his godliness, then Prema Shakti is avyakt. His other godly qualities are being revealed. But that Prema Shakti, if he reveals that, if he allows that to manifest, that power is such that it makes him forget he's God. So even though Prema Shakti resides within Shri Krishna, he doesn't control Prema Shakti. Prema Shakti controls him. And what is that Prema Shakti? That Prema Shakti also has an essence, because there are 8 levels of prema. Also called bhakti, 8 levels of bhakti. Prema bhakti, sneha bhakti, man bhakti, pranay bhakti, rag bhakti, anurag bhakti, bhavavesh bhakti, mahabhav bhakti. So now that we got essence of Swarup Shakti is Hladini Shakti, essence of Hladini Shakti is Prema Shakti, essence of Prema Shakti is Mahabhav. Premer Paramasar Mahabhav Jani Sei Mahabhav Roop Radha Thakurani. All these are quotations from Chaitanya Charitamrita, things said by Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji. So he says the essence of Prem is Mahabhav and the personified form of Mahabhav is Radha. Even within Mahabhav there are different levels. Radha's Madanakhya Mahabhav is the topmost level. So she's the personified essence of Mahabhav, which is the essence of Prem, which is the essence of Hladini Shakti, which is the essence of Swarup Shakti, which is Krishna's internal power that gives him all the power to do everything. So this is why we say Radha is the soul of Shri Krishna, and this Prema Shakti, this power of divine love, Shri Krishna awards that to his Bhakta saints. The Jnani doesn't receive this. The Jnani doesn't even get Swarup Shakti. The Jnani is freed from maīyā and merges into Nirakar Brahma. The Bhakta saint who worships Shri Krishna in any almighty form like Vishnu, Shiva, Durga, receives Swarup Shakti, becomes Swarup Shakti Yukt, so their Sukshma Sharir becomes divine. They get a divine Sthul Sharir also. So now they have a divine body, mind, senses, everything, so they can experience God with all their five senses, but they don't get Prem. Those who worship Shri Krishna in his loving form, they are called Rasik saints. So Bhakta saints are of two types: those who worship Krishna's almighty forms and those who worship his loving form. The loving form awards Prema Shakti, Premanand. Those devotees who receive that Prem, now they are in possession of the power that makes God forget he's God. That is why we say that under the influence of the love of those Rasik saints, Shri Krishna forgets he's God. And he's the one who gave them that power. And having given them that power, now he is powerless over them. Aham bhakta paradhino hyasvatantra ivadvij sadhu bhirgrasta hridayo bhaktair bhakta janapriya. In the Bhagavatam, Shri Krishna tells Durvasa Muni that those who love me in that way, they surrendered to me, loving me as Krishna with no other desire. I become subservient to them. He gives them that Prema Bhakti, and now because they have that power that makes Krishna forget he's God, in front of that Bhakt saint, Rasik saint, he does not remember that he's God. And this form of Krishna is his supreme form. When he remembers he's God, he's not revealing himself fully. He's hiding that Prema Shakti. So that is not his supreme form. When he reveals Prema Shakti, that's the ultimate thing. And when he does that, he no longer behaves as God. So think of his grace and his humbleness, his kindness, that he is willing to reveal himself in that way, where souls don't need to maintain any formality with him. They can love him with total freedom. And that's who he is when he's revealing himself fully. That is his supreme form. It's amazing when you think about it. That is God's ultimate form, when he stops acting like God. And he comes down to the level of his devotees. So he's not coming down actually, he's going up. That's the highest form of Shri Krishna when he becomes subservient to his saints. And they are also subservient to him. They will not be outdone. He wants to serve them and they want to serve him. He wants to give them love and they want to give him love. And in this process, Shri Krishna experiences what is called manasanand. Whereas he is the very form of bliss, so he's always experiencing swarupanand. But the bliss he receives in that interaction with his saints is further enriched. It's called manasanand. The bliss the saints get from those leelas in that interaction with Krishna, and Krishna gets that same bliss from his saints because they give it back to him, further enriched. That's called manasanand. So Shri Krishna enjoys the supreme bliss of the divine world through the love of his devotees, which of course they also enjoy. Tomorrow we're going to continue further ahead talking about this special relationship and how Shri Krishna and a God-realized soul become absolutely one, and some more sweet aspects of this relationship between Krishna and his saints. Today we're going to sing one Keertan. Yesterday we saw how the Gwalbals treat Shri Krishna as their best friend, and they have no hesitation or sankoch to just love Krishna freely. Today we're going to sing a Leela written by Shri Kripaluji Maharaj that describes the relationship between Krishna and Mother Yashoda. So let us sing this Keertan, and at the end we'll have time for a few questions. It's book, is this 2?
Yeah.
Book 2, page 173. Page 173, book 2. Sunu re. Oh, by the way, remember I mentioned about Vilvamangal a couple days ago, how Krishna helped him when he was trying to walk to Vrindavan. So this song is based on a shlok that Maharaji quotes in his lectures, a shlok written by Vilvamangal describing this very scene, where maīyā Yashoda is now fed up with all the complaints she's hearing about kanhaīyā, and she thinks it's time for him to get some discipline in his life. So she tells him, it's time for you to study. Krishnatvam pathakim pathami nanure shastram kimugyāyate Tattvam kasya vibho sakastribhuvana dhīshaschatenapi kim jnanam bhaktiratho viraktiranaya kim muktirevastute dadhyadini bhajami maturuditam vakyam hare Patuva. So maīyā says, time, Krishna tvam patha, tu pad. Says, Kim, what should I study, mother? Shastram. You have to study the scriptures. Kimugyāyate, what am I going to learn by studying the scriptures? Tattvam, you'll get correct knowledge Of who? Vibho. Bhagwan. Who is Bhagwan? Tattvam kasya vibho sakah. Who is Bhagwan? Tribhuvanadhishascha. He's the Lord of all the three worlds. Okay, so what? Why should I study about Bhagwan? Jnanam bhakti ratho virakti. If you get correct knowledge about God, you'll get devotion. That will lead to feelings of vairagya, detachment from the world. Then what? Why do I want that? Oh, then you'll get mukti. Krishna says mukti. I don't want mukti. I just want to always, every day, get to hear the sweet taunts, the galis of the gopis and my friends, the gwalwals. That's what I want, Mother. You can keep your mukti for yourself. In other words, I'm not studying. I'll play and graze the cows like I do every day. Sunu re kanhaīyā kanhaīyā, maīyā, maīyā, maīyā.
Sunu re kanhaīyā kanhaīyā, maīyā, maīyā, maīyā.
Sunu re kanhaīyā kanhaīyā, maīyā, maīyā, maīyā. Hare कहत कन्हैया।
ज्ञान मिलई कही कहत कन्हैया।
ज्ञान मिलई कही कहत कन्हैया।
ज्ञान मिलई कही कहत कन्हैया।
श्री हरि को कह मैया, मैया मैया मैया।
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 सुनु रे कन्हैया कह मैया, मैया मैया मैया।
सुनो रे कन्हैया कह मैया, मैया मैया मैया।
ज्ञान फल का कहत कन्हैया।
ज्ञान हो फल का कहत कन्हैया।
ज्ञान फल का कहत कन्हैया।
ज्ञान हो फल का कहत कन्हैया।
मिले भक्ति कह मैया, मैया मैया मैया।
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 भक्ति फल का कहत कन्हैया।
भक्ति ही फल का कहत कन्हैया।
भक्ति फल का कहत कन्हैया।
भक्ति ही फल का कहत कन्हैया।
मिले मोक्ष कह मैया, मैया मैया मैया।
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 मिले मोक्ष कह मैया,
maīyā, maīyā, maīyā.
जो चाह सुनो मैया, मैया मैया मैया।
सुनन चाहत हो कहत कन्हैया,
सुनन चाहत हो कहत कन्हैया,
सुनन चाहत हो कहत कन्हैया।
सुनन चाहत हो कहत कन्हैया।
गोपिन गारिन मैया, मैया मैया मैया।
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 हम कृपालु भजती मैया,
हम कृपालु भजती निहु मैया,
हम कृपालु भजती मैया।
हम कृपालु भजती निहु मैया।
दीनिहु मैया,
दीनिहु मैया,
दीनिहु मैया।
दीनिहु मैया।
हम कृपालु भजती मैया।
हम कृपालु भजती निहु मैया।
गोपिन गोपन गैया, मैया मैया 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 मैया।
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 सुनु रे कन्हैया का मैया, मैया मैया मैया।
सुनो रे कन्हैया कह मैया, मैया मैया मैया।
सुनु रे कन्हैया का मैया, मैया मैया मैया।
सुनो रे कन्हैया कह मैया, मैया मैया मैया।
सुनु रे कन्हैया कह मैया, मैया मैया मैया।
सुनो रे कन्हैया कह मैया, मैया मैया मैया।
कृष्ण कन्हैया लाल की।
जय।
We have a few minutes for questions if anyone has anything they want to ask. Anybody have any questions? Okay, then I'll quiz you. So tell me the sequence. I think I quiz you on this every single time I come. The sequence, how we got from all of Krishna's infinite powers all the way to the essence of the essence of the essence of the essence. So where did we start? What was the base? Krishna has how many powers? Unlimited powers. Out of those, how many are considered to be the most important? 3, right? Which are, raise your hand now if you know. Yes. Swarup Shakti and Chit Shakti are synonyms. So Swarup Shakti can be called Parashakti, Chit Shakti, Yogamaya Shakti. So that's one. Jeev Shakti, yeah, and Maya Shakti. So out of infinite powers, those 3 are main. Out of those 3, which one is, raise your hand if you know which one is Bahiranga Shakti, external power. Raise your hand. Yes. Maya, right. And why is Maya Shakti Bahiranga? Yes.
Because it's Jar Shakti.
That's right, because it's Jar. And which Shakti is Tatastha Shakti? Raise your hand. Yes. G. What does Tatast mean? Anybody know? Tat, Yamuna Tat. What is Tat? The bank.
Yeah.
That's right, the bank.
So Tatastha, I don't know. It's like sitting on the bank.
Stha is like present. Tatast, you're there on the bank. So when you're on the bank of a river, what's on one side?
River.
The river. And what's on the other side?
Land.
Land or the forest. So you're neither in the forest nor are you in the river. You're on the bank. Jeev Shakti is neither a part of Maya nor is it a part of Swarup Shakti. Souls are neither a part of Maya nor a part of Swarup Shakti. They're in between. And Swarup Shakti is the internal power. Okay, what are the 3 qualities of God? Yes, Sat Chit Anand. So, because of that, Swarup Shakti has 3 aspects. What is the Sat aspect of Swarup Shakti? Raise your hand if you remember. Yes, Pankaj. Yeah, that's right. That's called Sandhini Shakti. And what is the Chit aspect of Swarup Shakti?
Samvit.
Yes, Samvit. So Chit Bhav ka Anubhav hai Samvit Shakti. And what is the Anand aspect?
Ladini.
Yes, Ladini Shakti. Out of those 3, which contains the other 2? Yeah, Anand contains Sat and Chit, and Ladini contains Sandhini and Samvit Shakti. Okay, so the essence of Swarup Shakti is Hladini Shakti. What is the essence of Hladini Shakti? Prema Shakti. And what is the essence of Prema Shakti? Mahabhav. And who is the personified essence of Mahabhav? Radha. Right. So she's actually the origin of all that. Origin of Prema Shakti, origin of Hladini Shakti, origin of Samvit Shakti, origin of Sandhini Shakti. Without her, none of that would be there, and Krishna would be Nirakar Brahm. How boring, right? No form, no leelas, no abodes, no personality, nothing. Because of Radha, Krishna has his form, all his qualities, his personality, his behavior, even his naughtiness is because of Radha. So that divine love power, Prema Shakti, is what makes Krishna forget that he is God. Okay, one final thing to quiz you on. What are the 3 bodies that a soul has? Sthul Sharir is what?
Is the body.
Physical body. Yeah.
Then Sushma.
Yeah. Sukshma. So it's Sukshma altogether. Kshma. Sukshma.
Sukshma,
Yeah.
which is the mind.
Yeah.
And then it's Karan.
Karan.
Karan Shakti,
Yeah.
which is the Kar.
That's right. It's the storage place for all the karma and sanskars. So when you have a thought, where does the thought originate?
In the mind.
Right, in the sukshma sharir. And then where does it go to be stored? In the karan sharir. And then what happens when at a future date in your future life, that sanskar is going to come and impact you. So where does it come out of? Karan sharir into sukshma sharir. So that's how even after death, because your sukshma sharir and karan sharir go with you in every life. Just the sthul sharir keeps changing. That's how your personality is retained from life to life. All your good and bad qualities, whatever you developed in this life, carries over to the next life. And even during pralay, your sukshma sharir is also dissolved. You have no mind during pralay. And yet after, when srishti happens, because the karan sharir was still there, so all your sanskars were still there, so based on that, your sukshma sharir again takes the form of your personality. So even through Mahapralay, your personality is retained. Whatever you become in this life, even if Mahapralay happens, you'll be the same in your next birth after Mahapralay, how you were. Just your body will change. It's all retained and stored in the Karan Sharir. Yes. Yes. She's asking, when you get mukti, do you still have sukshma sharir?
Yeah.
The sukshma sharir is maīyā. So when we get mukti, we're freed from maīyā, which means we're freed from ever having sthul sharir. Our sukshma sharir is also gone, destroyed. And even karan sharir is destroyed. All the past karma, all the sanskars. So the jnani who wants just mukti, just moksha, without any sharir, meaning no personality remaining, just the divine soul, merges into nirakar Brahma. But a devotee of Krishna feels scared when he hears that. He doesn't want his personality to finish. Without a body, how will he serve Krishna? Without a mind, how will he love Krishna? So the bhakt gets a replacement, an upgrade. It's not just get rid of the sthul sharir. No, get rid of the mayic sthul sharir, replace it with a divine, satchit anandwala sharir, made of swarup shakti. Get rid of the mayic quality of the sukshma sharir, make it divine. So the bhakt saint retains their personality. Your devotional personality, whatever it is in your rup dhyan with Krishna, you retain that even after God realization. It just that your mind becomes divine. So your sukshma sharir is not killed or finished or destroyed like the jnanis is. Just your mind and senses become divine. And karan sharir you don't need anymore because there's no more karma after God realization. You can't do any more karma. You can do, but it doesn't count as karma. So the bhakt wants an upgrade or a replacement. The jnani just gets rid of the mayic 3 types of sharir, but that's it. Nothing more after that. Yes?
You said that Guru knows when our sanskars are going to come up, and that's because they're stored and there's a roadmap in our Karan Sharir. Is that can anybody other than God and Guru also read that? Is that the reason why astrologers can make some predictions? No. Only God.
Based on the science of Jyotish, which is one of the 6 Vedangas, it's part of Ved, if somebody has that correct knowledge, according to the positions of the stars and constellations in relation to the sun and moon and everything at the time you were born, they can tell some of what's in your destiny, whether it's part of your physical destiny, what obstacles or opportunities you will have in your life, or part of your internal destiny, sanskars. They can have some insight into that actually from the Jyotish science, but not at the level of a saint. A saint knows every little detail.
Yeah, I heard Maharaji say once that he knows what sanskars are going to come, and if a bad sanskar is going to come on a Friday, he makes sure that either he or one of his pracharaks or one of his devotees is there on Thursday.
Yeah, he arranges. He said that in the Roop Dhyan lecture. Yes.
When God reveals His Prema Shakti, He forgets that He is God. Is that happens in the Golok also, or that is only in the Avatar Kal?
In Golok also. Yeah, Krishna doesn't behave as God in Golok. He doesn't need to. His Pratham Purushavatar, Mahavishnu, is busy managing all the affairs of the universe. Krishna just plays, gives love, enjoys love. That's his only work. Just like the Gwalwals were giving him a hard time yesterday that he makes them do all the work and he just plays. The same thing in the divine world. He makes Mahavishnu do all the work. And he just plays. So I guess that's it for today. We'll have 2 more sessions. One will be tomorrow night at this time, and the final one will be Sunday morning at the 10 to 12 time. Saturday we're having a little mini Yugal Kunj intensive. We're with many different activities, so those who want to join. In the morning we'll have sadhana from 7 till 9, then breakfast, then 9:30 to 10:30 we're having a music class. I'll be going over some of the simple tunes that you've all been learning and just making sure if there's any little adjustments that need to happen. Then from 10:30 to 12 we'll do gardening seva, and then we'll have lunch, and after lunch we'll play sports and go in Kalindi. So it's a busy day, Saturday, a little mini intensive sadhana and seva intensive. Polo Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki Jai, Shrimat Sadguru Sarkar ki Jai, Shri Yugal Kunj ki Jai, Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe.